Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. Today I am on book number 3 of the Joona Linna crime series by Lars Kepler, which is a husband and wife team. Yeah, this one's the Fire Witness. Let's get the front cover up. It took me so long to write down the title. It's like that last 150 pages, really, where everything starts to make sense. Yeah, that is just the crime scene, basically. Anyway, about the book, the blurb. One girl is dead. Detective Inspector Joona Linna has been called to a home for troubled girls north of Stockholm. A young girl has been brutally murdered, her body arranged in bed with her hands covering her eyes. One girl is missing. Vicky Bennett is the only girl unaccounted for. Did she run away to escape the chaos? Or does a bloody hammer found under her pillow make her the prime suspect? One girl claims to have witnessed it all. In Stockholm, Flora Hansen works as a medium, pretending to commune with the dead. When she begins to suffer crippling visions of the young girl's murder, will anyone believe her? As Joona refuses to accept the easy answers, his search leads him into a darker, more violent territory, and finally to a shocking confrontation with his past. So, just in that last section you realise you're going to learn a lot about Joona in this book, and it's definitely something that happens in those last 150 pages where everything seems to tie itself together. It says it's 608 pages. It says book 3 of 9, so the fact that I went in with book 8 is quite impressive. Again, really dark. I absolutely love it. It is so good. I felt like all the books seem to have very different feels to them. This one, I think, was probably closest to the vibe I got from book 8. But one theory that I had after going from book 8 to book 1 about the hypnotist, because we saw the hypnotist in book 8, because I accidentally started with book 8, and then the first one was the hypnotist. I thought the hypnotist himself was going to play a larger part throughout the books, but so far he's only appeared in those 2, so there's no sign of him in books 2 and 3. But interesting to see if he does pop up again, or if it's something that was just a surprise back for book 8, I don't know, but I'm having so many theories about if that hypnotist is going to pop up in any other books before book 8. That's what happens when you do stuff in the wrong order. But yeah, so you see from Joona's point of view, and you also see Flora, who is this medium, and you realise that she has an interesting relationship with her parents. She seems to tread on tiptoes around them quite a lot, and she's like, it's implied that she's not a teenager, so it implies that she is a little bit older, but it's not until a certain point in the book when you actually find out actually how old she is, which really adds to her state of mind throughout the book, because when she starts having these almost visions of things, it kind of makes you think of the film Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg and Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. Somebody who actually works as a medium, and then at some point they suddenly are able to see ghosts and things, and I'm just like, is this going down a slightly supernatural route? From what I've read so far, there's going to be some sort of logical explanation for it, and it's her story that ties into the title. I'm just going to say that because I'm not going to say too much beyond that, because it would lead to proper spoilers in regards to Flora's storyline. But she does seem very juvenile and childlike. I'm not going to say childish. I thought childish is the wrong word, because childish implies that they know better, whereas I feel like Flora has gotten stuck somewhere, which makes sense considering what I later learned about her throughout the course of the book. But yeah, I always felt that she came across as very childlike and a little bit naive at times, because when she first starts having all these almost visions and thinking that she sees a ghost, she calls the police's helpline in regards to the young girl that has been murdered and says, "For a fee, I will tell you more." And I'm just there going, oh, for goodness sake, girl, why are you telling the police that you will tell them more for a fee? And because that just completely loses her credibility at all when she's there going, I know things, but I'm not going to tell you it until you pay me. And I just thought that just led into her naivety and childlike position. It is also partly because she knows that she does owe people money, but it's a very wrong way to go about having a relationship with the police if you do think you know something. Calling them up repeatedly with different things, which she does throughout the book. She calls them repeatedly. She calls this helpline, and to the point where the person who answers the phone is just like, is this Flora again? You need to stop calling us. You are abusing this hotline as somebody looking for money, and we're not going to stand for it. I completely understood the police's reaction to Flora calling this hotline, because she keeps changing her mind about things, and as I said, there's points when she clearly states, I will tell you more for money, and I just thought, no girl, stop it. And I just thought, is this somebody who's wasting their time, or does she know something but doesn't realise it? Like, maybe she was somewhere she wasn't supposed to and she needs to deal with that. There was even a point when I was wondering if she actually did it and suppressed it somehow. We saw that in book 8 with somebody who wasn't aware of what they were doing, and I was wondering if it was going down that road, which was a bit of a red herring there. But it was very fascinating to see how everything connected, because at the beginning of the book, when they find the dead body and she's been arranged and her hands are over her eyes like she's playing hide and seek, and you're just there thinking, what is the purpose of that? It's quite a striking book cover, but as you can see, that front cover and the arrangement of the body is really striking, and it really does make you wonder what the relevance of that is. And it's also the fact that there's this big blood spatter, sorry for people who are a bit squeamish, that proves that it was quite a violent act. But then the arrangement of the body implies some type of care. So you're trying to understand the mentality of the killer, where they've done something which is extremely violent, but then they've been arranged as if trying to send some sort of message. But then also the fact that the victim is covering their eyes implies something that the victim doesn't want to see, or that the killer doesn't want the victim to see, some kind of protection. So yeah, I just found that kind of fascinating. As I've said before, these are really dark. It's akin to how I felt when I read the Brazilian Isles books. I don't know what it is about that kind of darker thing in books. It took me a long time to be able to appreciate that on screen. I think it's because you're actually seeing people do it, whereas with books it's your own imagination. It's like my imagination is safer than watching other people do it, because it's my imagination. And I can manipulate my imagination. I cannot manipulate what I'm going to see on TV or film. It's just like, when I did American Horror Story, there was, in the last season that I watched, was it season 11? The NYC series. And you've got a serial killer that chops people up. There was a scene where this person was being chopped up, and I just had to take my headphones off. I was just like, I don't mind watching it, but I cannot hear it. And I think that has something to do with it, because it's like, obviously you can't hear anything in your imagination, you can just see it. When there's a sound associated with it, a very real sound, that's when my brain goes, nope. It's like there was that season of American Horror Story where people were drinking blood. Nope, cannot do that. Cannot hear the slurp. No. Is there some kind of deep dive into my imagination and the weird things that goes on in my brain? I'm just coming towards the end of a cold, so I might be slightly croaky, but I do have a lemon, ginger and manuka honey tea on the go, just to kind of protect my throat a little bit. I just found it really interesting how you went through the point of view of the girls at this troubled girls' home, and the fact that even though with this book you learn a lot about Joona and his family, and the things he has done to protect his family. Because there's a woman in this book that says to Joona, why do you pretend that your daughter is dead? And it was just like, wait, what? And it comes back. So just as everything is wrapping up with the Troubled Girls Home and who is the killer, and after having followed Vicky throughout the book trying to figure out where she's gone, and then also getting Flora's storyline, it starts to tie into Joona's history and his history with his family. And my God, the things that Joona did at the end of the book, I'm just like, oh God. I say that, it's kind of like a flashback, but you get it at the end of the book and you're just like, oh my goodness. And from the sound of things, that is going to link into the next book, which is The Sandman. And I've got the audiobook for The Sandman, so that's going to be an interesting one to listen to. Just like I accidentally stumbled upon this series. I just saw the thing for book 8 and just thought, that sounds interesting. And it wasn't until I was about halfway through the book when I realised it was part of a series, or was it the end of the book? I cannot remember. I started it knowing nothing, and then by the end of it, it was just like, oh, there's a reason why I felt like I was missing some of the story, and it's not just a case of we have decided to plant this in the middle of someone's story and then we're just going to drip it through for you to learn as you go through. It's just like, no, a significant amount of this story has already occurred in other books, and so yeah. It is very weird to start a book in like the middle or even the end, because like I said, the next one is The Sandman, which I've got the audiobook for, so I'll be starting that soon because I finished another audiobook yesterday. And then after that is book 5 is Stalker, book 6 is Hunter, book 7 is Lazarus, The Mirror Man. That was book 8, and then book 9 is The Spider, so that's the most recent one. It says book 9 was released May 23, so I don't know if that's going to be the end of it all, if it's going to be another one, I don't know. But yeah, as I said, this one's a long one at 608 pages. A lot is packed in, but it's very short chapters, I realised. It's dense, but it's very short chapters, and you get a lot in those very short chapters. Like a lot of the book, they are looking for Vicky, because they realise that she's the only girl unaccounted for among this crime scene, and there's evidence that she jumped out of her window. And part of her story is the fact that there's a point when someone steals a car which has a child in the back of it, and Vicky is accused of kidnapping as well as murdering this girl at the troubled girls' home. So yeah, you're just finding out so much about Vicky, and the fact that obviously all these girls are troubled. They have different issues. Things about girls who have drug problems and people who've been abandoned, and there's part of the storyline where you look at somebody who did actually foster Vicky at one point and the regrets that she has over how things were left with Vicky. And yeah, there's just so much to it, and I just found it really clever and haunting, and it was just following that Flora storyline and trying to understand her mentality. So when you do actually finally find out how old she is and why she's done the things that she did, in how she handled her visions essentially, and when you realise what her actual connection is to the troubled girls' home and the people there. I feel like I'm just waffling, but it's because I'm trying to keep a lid on this book because of where it ends up. But yeah, for so long I was just like, what on earth does the fire witness mean? And then I realised at the end, I'm just going to say it comes back to Flora, and you realise just how significant she is, how important she is, even though she's introduced in a way that makes you think she's just a childlike, naive person who looks like she's just looking for money, and then you find out, oh, there's so much more to it than that. And you look at the state of her relationship with her parents and the people she's living with, and her family, and how isolated she was and still is. And yeah, I'll just say that whereas I was, throughout a lot of the book, dismissing Flora almost because of her behaviour, and then I was just like, you know, she's here for a reason, and there is something to pay attention to there. I'll just say that. But yeah, I just found it really interesting and really dark and so cool. If you like a good murder mystery that's got grit to it, I definitely recommend the Joona Linna Killer Instinct series by Lars Kepler, which is a husband and wife team. So I'll just get the book cover up again for you. That is the front cover as I have it. This Kindle edition has 3 books in one, so it has The Hypnotist, The Nightmare and The Fire Witness in this collection. And I read this on Kindle, and now I have gone back to BorrowBox for the audiobook of the next one. There's a few audiobooks of the Lars Kepler ones on here. I think there might be 3 audiobooks on BorrowBox for me. Yeah, so I've got book 4, which is The Sandman. Book 5 is Stalker, which is also an audiobook, and book 6, which is The Rabbit Hunter. So after this I'll be looking for book number 7, so I'll probably have to go back to Kindle for that one. And then I've already read book 8, and then it'll be going forward to book 9. So I'm going to jump from book 7 to 9, or do I want to read book 8 again? I don't think I need to. I did it very recently, so I shouldn't have to read that one again. I think they are starting to write under another pseudonym now, because I'm not quite sure where Lars Kepler actually came from, but the husband and wife team actually had the same name. One is an Alexander and one's an Alexandra, so I think they're going Alex, and then their married joint name as their new pseudonym. Alexander and Alexandra Anderil, and they live in Sweden, and that is where the book is set. All the books are set in Sweden. And oh, I think I do have on here who translated this one. This one was translated from Swedish by Laura A. Wideberg, and the very, very first page of the book is a Bible quote, I believe. Revelation 21:8. All liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone. So that gives you a slight question mark connection to the name of the book, which is The Fire Witness. But I'll just say that the title ties a lot into Flora's storyline and understanding her place in amongst everything else that is going on. So yeah, The Fire Witness by Lars Kepler, and that was book number 3. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Hello to the new subscribers. Thank you so much. It is so sweet of you. But yeah, I'll see you next time with another video. This has been Series Sunday. Next one is a Debbie's Bookshelf. Stay safe, everybody. I love you all. Goodbye.